Hey everyone, and welcome back to another YouTube tutorial. This one is going to be pretty straightforward and simple. It's going to be taking one game object and having it move in a circle around a centered game object. As you can see, I got Unity open here, and what we're going to do is we're going to create two objects. I'm going to go ahead and create a cube first of all, and then I will go ahead. This is going to be our center object, and then we'll go ahead and reset the object so it'll be at 0, 0. And then what we'll do is we'll go to creating another 3D object and we'll make it a sphere. This one we can go ahead and reset to everything 0 and we'll move it up a little bit just so we're able to see it and watch the concept. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this sphere and have it move around this cube. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and create another C# script and we'll call it move component. And then we'll go ahead and let it compile. Let it reload the script. And then once that is done, what we can do is you can open up your IDE of choice. I'm going to open up the Visual Studio. I'm going to reload since it was already open. And then there's our wonderful component script. So what we're going to do is pretty straightforward. We're going to go and create a couple variables. So this one will be serialized field. We're going to make a private float speed variable. And I'm going to set the default to 2. So the speed variable is how fast we want this object to move around the center object. I have another serialized field. We're going to do private. This is going to be of type GameObject. This is going to be the center object that this object is rotating around or moving around. So we'll do another serialized field. This is going to be private bool move clockwise. We're going to default it to true. So if we want this object to move around the center object clockwise or counterclockwise, we'll be able to toggle it with this. And then we'll do a serialized field, private float variable. This is going to be radius offset. And we're going to default that to 1. This will be the distance, the offset from the center object and the object that moves around it. Now let's go ahead and have a private float variable. This will be angle. This is the angle we're moving around the center object. This will have another float for a direction. This is going to either move it clockwise or clockwise, counterclockwise or clockwise based on the boolean above. So we'll set this one a default -1 because -1 is clockwise. It'll be to the right. And then we'll have one more that we're going to use, a vector 3, that's going to be for caching the center object position. And that's all the variables we're going to need. And we will not need a start, but we're just going to need the update. First off, we can start with the center object position. And we're going to set it to the center game objects.transform.position. We're going to cache this position. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and figure out what direction we're going to move in. So if move clockwise is true, we're going to use a ternary operator to say if move clockwise is true, I want you to move in the -1. If you aren't true, you're false, then I want you to move counterclockwise, which is 1. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take the angle and we're going to set the angle to time.delta time. Okay, so over time, I want you to move in a direction times direction times the speed you want to move. So we want this angle to be calculated based on over time in a certain direction at this speed. So right now we'll go ahead and start putting in some comments. So we'll cache the position of the center object, we are moving around. And then on the next one, we can say determine the direction to move around center object. And then right here, calculate the angle from the delta time, the direction, and the speed. Now what we'll do is we need to actually get the position we want to set our object to as it's moving. So we'll get the float position of x, and we're going to do mathf.cosine of the angle, and we're going to multiply that times the radius offset. So what's happening here is we're getting the x position for our new position, and in order to do that, we need to get the cosine of the angle that has been calculated. This radius offset is going to say, okay, I want you to offset your x position based on the angle and how far we've set above from the center object. And we're going to do the same thing for the y position, except the difference will be we're going to use sine instead of cosine, passing in the angle as well. You got it, multiplied times the radius offset. So go ahead and add, get the x position, the angle times the radius offset. The radius offset is the distance from the center object to the moving object. There we go. We're going to take the same thing and we'll go ahead and copy that here. And this is going to be the y position. Now all we have left to do is we need to actually move this, move the object. So this object, the object this script is on, this transform dot position is going to be set every frame to a new vector 3. That's going to be set based on the center object position we cast above, its x position, plus the x we just calculated. We're going to do the same thing for the y. And then the 0 axis, the z-axis or z-axis is just going to be 0. And this is all that we have to do. Set this object's position. This is all that we have to do to get it moving. So making the variables up here serialized allow us to be able to control these in the inspector. Let's go ahead and go back into Unity. Once it compiles, so what we're going to do is, while this is compiling, I'm going to take this script and I'm going to drop it over here on the sphere, because that's what we want to move. Now that the sphere has this component, it's going to have its default values. What we need to do is, what is your center object? It's going to be the cube. So what's going to happen is when we hit start, this sphere should start moving around this cube clockwise with an offset of 1 and at a speed of 2. Click play. It's going to reload the script assemblies. Be able to test to see how it all turned out. Here we go. And as you can see, this is in the game view. Expand it a little bit more. As you can see, it's moving clockwise around the cube. And what we can do is we can make it a whole lot faster. We can go ahead and see how much of a distance we want between the object and the moving object. And then we can also check to see if we want to move in reverse. And because this is being called in the update, this can happen every frame like this. And you have control over it as such in the editor. Clockwise, go ahead and move it slower. Then go ahead and lower it, get it closer. That is actually going to be it for this video. This is how you can take an object, move it around another object, and what's really neat is if you move this cube, it's going to follow it, no matter what, because it is in that update loop. You can follow it. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. It was really fun to make this one. I hope all of you have a great blessed day. Thank y'all for watching. I hope you can be able to take this and tweak it into your own way, in your own form, shape it however you want. It was really fun, and I hope you all stay. Y'all, bye bye.